And I want you to separate the knees, or I'm sorry, separate the feet to the edges of the mat. So knees bent, feet at the edges of the mat, and just let the knees hang together. And then you can just have your arms along the sides of the body, or you can place the hands on the belly. But I wanted our focus this morning to be about compassion. So, what better day to talk about compassion than Mother's Day? And yoga teaches us not just to still the mind, but that we are connected to everything else in the world, even the people and the things that we're not, so aligned with. So we're called to kind of pull up some more compassion in those circumstances, and also compassion for ourselves. So, for some people, a day like today, a day like Mother's Day can be painful. And this is where, compassion can come in. And do we learn this from one yoga class? No, of course not. But as we move through our practice this morning, I would like you to really focus on having that compassion for yourself. Our goal in life is really to have less suffering, and that's one of the biggest reasons we practice yoga, to calm the mind, to have less suffering. And the way that we are on the mat and the way that we practice yoga on the mat is what sets us up for life off the mat. So compassion for ourselves will translate to compassion for others, even for the people that we don't like so much. Just be aware of your breath right now. And maybe even think about some area of your life that you do need to bring more compassion in, especially if it's with yourself. We're going to do some heart opening postures and do a little bit of a flow just to move. So I want you to do a little bit of windshield wiper legs. So good morning, Marina, where feet are separated to the edges of the mat, knees are hanging together, and we're just, like sway both knees to the left, sway both knees to the right, just slowly move the legs back and forth, waking up the hips slowly. And then go ahead and slow down your swing. We're going to move on to a supine twist. So take the right ankle to the left knee. Now keep in mind, this is the very beginning. We're not warmed up totally. So it might be a little bit more difficult to grab behind the left leg, but try to interlace the fingers behind the left leg and draw that knee up towards the chest. And then find your breath. Keep both feet flexed, just protecting the twist in the knee. We can even bring compassion in that way, right? Having compassion for our joints, not pushing it 110%. Just listening. Take one more breath here. And then go ahead and release. Bring that left foot down, then the right, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. So left ankle to right knee. Interlace the fingers behind the right leg. Draw the knee up to the chest. Relax the shoulders towards the mat. Soften the muscles in the face. And find your breath. We're going to keep this slow, steady breath throughout the whole practice this morning. And just wake up the body slowly. One more deep breath in. And then as you exhale, bring the right foot down, left foot. We're going to roll onto our sides and come to hands and knees. So come to a hands and knees position so we can do our Vidalasana and wake up the spine. Knees are hip width apart, tops of the feet are flat on the mat. Inhale, lift the tail, lift the chin. And then exhale, we're going to arch the back and drop the head. Again, lift the tail, raise your gaze. And we're going to do this with the pace of your breath now. So as you exhale, arch the back, drop the head. And then you might breathe a little bit faster or slower than we just first started. As long as you're moving with your breath. And then also, if you want to add some twisting with the shoulders, movement with the hips, go ahead and do that. You can still keep your eyes closed here too, just focusing inward. We'll do 2 more rounds of this. And then when you're finished, you can go ahead and come back to a flat back, tabletop, neutral spine. And I want to make sure of the placement of our hands while we do this next one. We're going to be balancing on one arm, one leg. So be sure that your wrist is not behind your shoulder. It has to be directly under, or even a little bit forward would be good. So place both hands in a good spot right below or in front of your shoulder. We're going to stretch the right leg out behind us. Shift the weight back a little bit just to get a calf stretch. You're pressing the heel back. This whole time that we're going to be doing this balance, be sure that you're aware of what's going on in the abdominals. So engaging the lower abdominals in and up, not necessarily pressing everything towards the spine, but the navel will be, it's like that image of keeping the navel towards the spine. All right, go ahead and lift the back leg, toes are pointing straight down. And then as you're staring down at your mat, you're gonna lift the left arm. Reach out in front of you, extending that arm. Find your breath here. So extending out through the heel and reaching out through the fingertips. We might have a tendency to drop like this on our right shoulder. So push your right hand, push out of your shoulder. Take another breath. And then exhale, bring everything back down. Same thing on the other side. Extend the left leg behind you. Shift your weight back. Take a moment just to stretch that calf muscle. We can even think about, since compassion is what we're talking about today, we can have that, that idea of paying attention to each little muscle here. Go ahead and lift the back leg. Extend the right arm out in front of you. Find your breath here. We don't want to dip in the lower back, so keep the back nice and flat. Engage the lower belly. Foot is flexed. Take another breath. And then go ahead, exhale, bring it back down to the mat. We're going to do we're going to stay on our knees for a plank and chaturanga while we're on the ground here warming up. So I want you to go ahead and bring the feet up. So coming into a knee plank here, we're going to point the elbows behind us and lower the body down to the ground. Drop the legs. Bring the hands to the lower ribs, squeezing the elbows towards each other. We're going to inhale and lift into a cobra. We're going to take a couple of breaths here and then move it back to child's pose. So one more breath here. Engage the legs. And then go ahead and push back. Toes together, knees apart, sit on the heels. If you can, bring the forehead to the mat. If your forehead doesn't go to the mat, you can stack the fists. We're gonna do 2 more rounds of what we just did on the knees. Take 1 more breath here. Exhale, walk the hands towards the body so you can come back to hands and knees. Lower yourself. Lift. Exhale back. Exhale, hands and knees. Bring the knees together. Lower the body. Drop the legs. Inhale, lift. Exhale, back. Take 1 more breath here. Go back to hands and knees. Bring the knees together. 1 palm length forward. We're going to come up into a downward facing dog. So curl the toes under. Don't worry about straightening the legs. Arms are going to be about shoulder width apart, maybe a little bit wider. Bring the hip sockets up and back. So we're curling the buttocks up towards the ceiling to get a nice long spine. You can walk your legs out here, so just alternate pedaling the feet. Walking the dog, as they say. Pressing the roots of the fingers into the mat. So the balls of the fingers. Begin to slow down into stillness. And then we're going to bring the right leg up. 3-legged dog. So keep it up here for a moment. Doesn't matter how high you get, honestly. Just get it up there. And then I want you to bend the knee so the heel drops towards the left side of your mat. And hopefully you feel a little bit of an opening in the hips here. We're going to take a breath. We're going to soften the left heel towards the mat. And then keep the right knee bent. We're going to start to bring the knee up towards the front of the mat and come into a lunge. So however you got to get your foot up there, drag it up there, pull it up there, whatever it takes. Completely fine. Drop the back knee. We're going to soften towards the mat. Shoulders away from the ears. Uncurl the back toes. We're going to start to shift the weight and sitting back on our heel. So as you sit back on your heel, lift the right toes. Doing a lot of opening in the legs today. Hips, legs, and heart. All of the physical parts of the body. Well, the hips and the heart at least. I swear I keep all my fear in my hamstrings. I have this really protective fear about overstretching my hamstrings. So that's where I keep my fear. But emotions and the heart and the hips are very, very related. We're going to shift forward again. Soften the hips towards the mat, that left hip flexor. And then we're going to shift back 1 more time. So exhale, back. And then 1 more time forward. Place your hands down on the mat. Curl the back toes under. Lift the back knee. We're returning to downward facing dog. So however you got to bring that leg back there, go ahead and walk it out. We're going to do the same exact thing on the left leg. So first, left leg up into 3-legged dog. The toes don't have to stay straight down here. We're opening up the hip, so we're externally rotating that left hip. Drop the heel towards the right side of the mat, and you might even be looking under your left armpit. Now soften the right heel towards the mat. Stay here for a breath or two. Bring your awareness to your hands. Be sure you're pressing the roots of the fingers into the hands, protecting the joints. Start to bend or bring that left knee. Keep it bent, bring it forward. Nice and slow and controlled. Get it to the front of your mat. Drop the back knee. Soften that right leg towards the mat. If the knee is over the ankle here, not a big deal. Our center of gravity is lower and behind the knee, so it's not gonna shear off the knee, so we're good. Take a breath here, shoulders away from the ears, neck is nice and long. Next exhalation, start to shift your weight back. Lift the left toes. Couple of breaths here. Notice where you're feeling the tightness. Exhale, shift forward. Just think of all the things we're like moving around right now. I mean, I do a lot of movement stuff, but I still have been sitting more than normal, more than I would like to at least. Go ahead, shift back one more time. Even if we're moving our legs a lot, getting deep in the hips is stirring things up. One more breath here. Exhale, come forward. Place the whole palm on the mat. Both palms, curl the back toes under, lift the back knee, and then return to downward facing dog. Walk it out. And remember, at any time through this practice, you can return to child's pose if your down dogs are getting tired. Go ahead and look up towards the front of your mat and bend the knees. Just start to walk forward. We're just gonna come to the front of the mat. We're gonna exhale, fold, drop the head completely. Try to keep our head out of the game today. Press the feet, inhale, arms all the way up. Palms together, exhale, hands in front of the heart. As we do our forward folds, just kind of take notice to how often your head will want to lift up, because the head always wants to be in charge more than the heart. So just taking that information and just, it's scary to not see what's going on. So just kind of keep that in the front of your head. When we have compassion for other things, or situations, it doesn't necessarily always have to do with the head either. Inner edges of the feet are parallel. We're coming into mountain pose or Tadasana. All four corners of both feet are pressing into the mat. Lift the shins, engage the quadriceps, press the pubic bone back. Try to get the hips lined up over the ankles, and then lift the chest. This is going to be an unnatural feeling for most people. And it takes engagement of the whole body and alignment of the whole body and balance of the whole body. Chin is parallel to the floor. We're going to take a couple of breaths here. And then moving into our Sun Salutation A, Surya Namaskar A. Inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees as generously as you need to. Inhale, look up. You might have to put your hands on your shins or your thighs. Next, exhale, step back to plank. Shoulders directly over the wrist here. And then as we exhale, we evenly lower the body, chaturanga. Uncurl the toes. Inhale, lift up to upward facing dog. So everything comes off the mat here, arms are straight, and we look up. Curl the toes under and exhale, coming into downward facing dog. We're gonna take 5 breaths here. 1, 2, 3. Down dog has nothing to do with straight legs. If your knees are bent, that is completely fine. 4, we want the tailbone up. 5, inhale, look to the front of your mat, get to the front of your mat. And then as you exhale, fold. Drop the head completely. Slightly bend the knees, inhale, bring the arms all the way up. Exhale, hands in front of the heart, back to Tadasana, or mountain pose. We're gonna go through that one more time. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, look up. Exhale, step back, and then lower into chaturanga, all the way evenly, all the way down to the mat. Inhale, lift to upward facing dog. And then exhale, take it back to downward facing dog or child's pose. You choose, 5 breaths. 1, 2, arms are straight. 3, ears are lined up with the inner arms. 4, 5. Inhale, look up, get to the front of your mat. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms all the way up. Exhale, hands in front of the heart. Good, come back to your Tadasana. We're gonna take the right leg up and out. We're gonna come into Warrior 2. What is Warrior 2? You don't need to know. I mean, you will know, but you don't need to know off the top of your head. Right toes are gonna come out, 90-degree angle. The back foot, it can be parallel to the mat or bring the toes in just a little bit. And actually, I could probably get a wider angle here, or wider stance. All right, so we're gonna take our left hand to the outside of the left hip. It's like the gluteus medius area. You'll just know it's kind of by that pointy, bony parts of the body. And press into that to come into your knee bend, okay? The pelvis is gonna be off the left side of the mat, but not completely parallel. The chest, though, we are gonna open to be even to the left side of the mat. And then extend the arms in the front and back of the body. Be sure the front knee is not caving in. Keep it directly over the ankle. Use the muscles in the quadriceps or the quadricep muscles to do that. Back leg is strong, pressing in the outer edge of the back foot. We're gonna come into a little breathing flow here. So on the inhale, we're gonna go ahead and straighten the leg and bring the arms up. Exhale down. We're gonna do this like 5 times. It just feels good. Inhale up. Exhale down. Up. Down. Slow, steady breath. Up. Down. We're gonna go up one more time. And this time we're gonna come into side angle. So exhale, bring the right arm to the right thigh. Left arm is gonna come up and over. And we're gonna do a little flow here too. So stretch the left side of the body first. Nice side angle. Inhale, come up. Keep the knee bent. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. One more time. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale, come up, and then bring the right toes in. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So left toes out, Press on that right outer hip, bend the knee, come into your warrior two. Ready? Inhale up. Exhale down. Nice and slow. Up. Down. Up. Down. Up. Reach tall. Exhale down. Up one more time. And now we exhale, come into side angle. Left arm on the left thigh, right arm up and over. Bicep to ear. So we have a tendency to come down here. Rotate the chest open. Feel that opening in the right side of the body. And then here we go. Warrior two. Inhale. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. One more time. Inhale up. Exhale down. And now we come up. Bring the left toes in. And then you can walk or hop your feet back together. Come back to Tadasana. Shake your legs out a little bit. And then we're going right back to those wide legs. So go ahead and bring them. Extend the legs. So ideally we want the ankles under the wrists. But look, I mean, I have long arms. There's no way I'm doing this, or I'm gonna end up in the splits, and my body wasn't made for the splits, so just do what's comfortable here. The important thing is that you keep the legs straight, okay? If you have a block, that's great. If you don't have a block and your hamstrings are super tight, then you can bend the knees a little bit to keep the spine long instead of rounding the back, okay? So toes are pointed forward. It'll feel almost like you're pigeon-toed. This is to protect the joints. Hands to the lower back. Your thumbs can be pressing the lower part of the spine. This is to keep the chest open. Inhale, lengthen. And then as you exhale, just push the hip sockets back. Keep the spine tall and long. Engage the legs. Bring your hands down to the mat. So here's a good one where we want to keep our heads up. But see if you can inhale one more time and lengthen through the crown of the head. And then exhale, see if you can fold a little bit more. Drop the head completely. If your palms are able to touch the mat, just start walking them back towards the inner edges of the feet and elbows point straight back. If you're still at fingertips, just stay here. Shoulders away from the ears. The quadriceps are working. We're lifting the sitting bones, and we're also engaging the glutes to protect the thigh, the hamstring attachments. Take another breath or two here. Maybe you can even fold a little bit more after a couple of breaths. We're gonna inhale, lift the gaze, and then bring the right hand to the center, like right below the face as you exhale. And we're coming into a twist here. So inhale, bring the left fingertips up towards the ceiling. Just do the best you can. You're gonna feel more of a stretch on the inner right thigh now and the adductors. Exhale, bring that left hand down. Center of the mat, right below the face. And then right fingertips up. Exhale, bring it down. Bring the heels in and the knees out. Bring your arms up to the thighs, and we're just gonna do a shoulder stretch here. You can even bring your hands to the knees. Just do a little bit of a twist here. Be aware of pressing all parts of the feet into the mat. And then bring your hands to heart center. Keep your knees bent. Keep the chest lifted. Press the feet. We're here for 20 minutes now. You're there still. 20 minutes, just kidding. Press. Bring the toes in. Come back to Tadasana. Woo! Torture on Mother's Day. So coming back to Tadasana, we're gonna bring the right, let's bring the right leg back first. That way I can show you guys better. So we're gonna do Warrior One. The center line for the feet is gonna be heel to heel, okay? Some of us, if our hips are really tight, might need to take a wider stance, but ideally that's what we wanna do. Hips are facing the front of the mat. We're gonna keep our hands at heart center and then bend the front knee. So this is our Warrior One today because we're focusing on opening that heart, having that compassion, mostly for ourselves is where it ends up being. We're going to take a few breaths here. Press the outer edge of that back foot into the mat. Keep the chest lifted. And then go ahead and bring the right hand to the back thigh. We're going to come into a reverse warrior here. So try to grab the inside of the thigh if you can, to get that little bit of a twist. And then left arm will come up and back, just for a breath. And then we bring our hands back to our heart. Just place your hands on your heart. Come down to bowing warrior or humble warrior. I mean, how much humility does it take really to have that compassion for the people that, or situations that we like the least, right? I mean, I know all three of you that are here in this class today, and you're all very compassionate people. But there are some things. Inhale, come up. Okay, keep the hands on the heart. We're gonna come into Warrior Three. This will be our balancing pose for today. So as you exhale, start to shift the weight forward. See if you can keep your hands on your heart through the difficult posture. Keep that compassion. Lift the back leg, maybe. You can keep the toes right here. Keep a micro bend in the standing knee. Take a couple of breaths. I'll let you decide when you are ready to come out of it. Shoulders back. When you're done, bend the standing knee. Bring the feet together. Come back to Tadasana. Great. All right, we're gonna get ready for the other side. So left leg back. Get ready for your Warrior One. So hips are facing forward. We're gonna put our hands on our heart, either at heart center or just feel the heart. Bend into the front knee. Take a few breaths here. So as you're in Warrior One, press the outer edge of the back foot. Try to keep the knee right over the ankle. Engage the lower belly in and up. Get tall. Good. One more breath here, and then we're going to reverse it. Left hand to the inner thigh. Grab the inner thigh if you can, or just place the hand back there. Right arm up and back. Hands back to the heart. Bow to the inner part of the leg. Humble warrior. Drop the head. Press the front foot. Inhale, come up. Exhale, start to shift the weight forward, coming into Warrior Three. Lifting, maybe, the back leg. Shoulders away from the ears. Lift with the inner thigh. See if you could take another breath or two. And then bend the standing leg. Come back to Tadasana. Excellent. Shake your legs up for a minute. Inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, look up. Exhale, step back. Come to plank first. And then exhale, elbows. Go ahead and release the toes. Use the left arm as a pillow. We're going to move into a quad stretch here and then do some opening with cobra pose. So grab the right foot with the right hand if you can. Bring the heel towards the glute. Press the hips into the mat. So Amanda, I know you have the flexibility. How are you? And just give me a thumbs up if you're feeling a stretch here. Okay, good. Once your heel is touching the right glute, then, and you're running out of stretch, then you start to slide. This is my heel. You start to slide the foot to the outside of the hip until your foot comes all the way down to the floor. Take another breath here. Exhale, release. Switch your pillows. So use the right arm as a pillow. Grab the left foot with the left hand or the left ankle. If you can grab the left ankle, that is preferable. And then bring the heel towards the body. Feels good after that goddess pose, doesn't it? Find your breath here. Come back to that slow, steady breath. Back on your mat. Notice where your mind is right now. The breath is the anchor to bring you right back in the present moment. Take one more breath. And then on the exhale, go ahead and release the foot. Bring your forehead to the mat and your hands to the lower ribs. Okay, so this is not my lower ribs. This is my lower ribs. And we're gonna keep the elbows squeezing towards each other. Feet are hip width apart, tops of the feet are on the floor. We're gonna inhale and press the hands and press the tops of the feet. So inhale, just lift the chest and head. Take a breath or two here. And then lower. Inhale again, lift. So we're pressing the pubic bone, we're lengthening the spine, engaging the legs. More breaths. Shoulders away from the ears. Exhale, lower. So some of us might be doing a baby cobra if we don't have the flexibility in the spine yet. That's completely fine. You can rest on your left cheek, bring your arms behind you, give your spine a break for a moment. Hands back to lower ribs. This time I'm gonna give you the option to hover your hands, even just a centimeter, maybe. If not, then just keep pressing. So go ahead and prepare, elbows towards each other, inhale, lift. Hover, maybe. 1, 2, 3. Go ahead and lower on the opposite cheek. So right cheek, arms behind you. Bring your forehead back to the mat. Grab the right ankle, grab the left ankle. We're bringing it all up now. If you just stay right here, you're completely fine, as long as your arms are straight. If you feel like you want to go a step further, take a deep breath in. And then as you exhale, push the feet into the hands. Lift the gaze. Lift the chest. We're going to take a few breaths here. So breathe. Again. Keep the knees towards each other. One more breath. Slowly lower back down to the mat. Rest on your left cheek. We're going to come into child's pose from here, so just take one more breath. We don't want to totally undo the back bend that we just did, so we try to neutralize the spine for a moment first. Now you can press the hands, lift yourself, come into child's pose, so knees apart, toes together, straighten the arms, reach with the arms, press the fingertips into the mat. If your arms are tired, you can also take a break and grab the heels. One more option is to bend the elbows, come into our Anjali Mudra or prayer hands and drop it behind the head. We're going to take 3 good breaths here. Hands back to the mat. If they're at the mat, go ahead and start walking them towards the body. Lift to hands and knees. We're just going to cross at the ankles here and have a seat. So sit down. Bring the legs out in front of you. We're going to do our Dandasana, which is like the Tadasana of the seated poses. So legs are very active and strong here. Pretend you're standing on the ground. So you're pressing the ball mounds of the big toes, lifting the chest. You can have your hands on either side of the body to help lift the chest and take pressure off the lower back. If you're already good and you feel like you can maintain that tall spine, put your hands on your thighs. You're going to take a few breaths here. It's like you're ripping the mat apart with your legs. Legs are that active. They're going to shake, probably. One more. Go ahead and release. Bend the knees. We're going to come into Baddha Konasana here. So bring the bottoms of the feet together. Drop the knees out to the sides. Grab the ankles to support the legs. So just, the postures like Dandasana, just really quickly, we don't do yoga, we don't do the stretching without the strengthening. So we did a lot of stretching with the hips, so things like Dandasana bring that strength. So just a little side note there. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. You can round the back here, drop the head. Again, see what the head wants to do. Will it let you drop it? You can be pressing the legs down with your elbows. And then inhale, come all the way up. Bring the knees together with your hands. We're going to bring the right leg down to the mat with the knee pointing straight forward. And then we're going to maybe, your left foot could stay right here. But if you can, see if you can bring the left foot over the right knee. Brings it to a whole new fun level of special stretching. Left fingertips behind you. Right arm is going to come up and outside, right elbow to the outside of the left knee. If it doesn't do this, then grab the knee instead. If you can do this and still keep the chest lifted, this is where we're going to stay for a few breaths. You can look over the left shoulder. One more. And then slowly come back to center. Unravel yourself. Bring the left leg to the floor, knee pointing straight forward. And see where you are on this side. It might not be the same. This side, my right sitting bone lifts a lot higher because of my injury. All right, right fingertips behind you. Left arm up, outside of the knee. My injury, which happened, by the way, during a transition. We are very susceptible to injuries during transitions and changes in our life, just like emotional vulnerability. Our bodies are also vulnerable during those times. And I knew that, and it happened anyways. Go ahead and take a few more breaths here. Shoulders away from the ears. Pressing that right shoulder back. It's like a spiral staircase, your spine. Exhale back to center. Go ahead and release. When we're doing those twists, the heavy rotation comes from the thoracic spine, the middle of the back. So there's not much of the twisting going on in the lumbar or the lower spine. If that is happening, don't let it happen, because that can cause injury. Do the rotation from the upper half of the body. Go ahead and lie down on your back. You can hug your knees. Rock a little bit left to right. And then we're going to move into actually happy baby from here. So go ahead, if you can, grab the insides of the legs, or if you can grab the bottoms of the feet, do that, and then press the knees towards the floor. And then do a little bit of rocking back and forth. Works just as good if you're using the shins. And then return to stillness. Bring the knees together. Drop the feet. We're going to do one more twist. So go ahead and shift your pelvis to the left side of your mat and drop the knees to the right. Arms come out on either side of the body. You could do straight arms, or you can come back to those goddess arms, like a goalpost. And then maybe you can look over the left arm or left fingertips. Release the muscles in the face here, release the tongue. Soften the torso to assist in your twisting, giving your organs a nice massage here. Get things moving this morning. Engage the abdominals. Inhale, bring your knees back to center, straighten out the pelvis. Pelvis to the right side, knees to the left. Open up the arms the way that your body wants you to today. Maybe look over the right arm or right fingertips. Soften the abdominal muscles. Soften the muscles in the lower back. Feel the benefits of this twist. One more breath here. Engage the abdominals. Lift feet so the knees can come back to center. Straighten everything out. If you want to hug the knees one more time here, you can, or just move into a long stretch. We're going to get ready for our Shavasana. And getting ready for your Shavasana it's a personal thing. You want to turn the lights off. If you want to put a sweatshirt on, socks, cover yourself up with a blanket. My Shavasana looks like me throwing a blanket over my face and everything. Whereas some people might feel like that's smothering them, so. And once you're ready, lie completely on your back with your arms along the sides of the body with the palms facing up. This way we'll keep the shoulder blades flat on the mat. The chin is going to be a little bit lower than the forehead. If it's not comfortable for you to lie flat on your back, you can put some support under your knees, like a pillow, a blanket, something like that. Take a deep breath in, gather up any leftover stress or tension in the body, and then separate the lips and let it leave on the exhale. Stress, anxiety, anything that is not serving you or going to serve you today, let it leave the body through your breath. You've created space within the body. You've shown yourself compassion just by showing up on your mat today. So give yourself a bow and a thank you for that. That's a celebration. Feel the bones in the body begin to settle towards the mat. And feel every part of the body that is in contact with your mat or the floor. Just feeling your presence on the mat and feeling supported. If your mind begins to wander during these next few moments, realize that that is normal and okay. And know that your breath is your anchor. It's what will keep you grounded and present. You can always return back to the breath.